Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next The Reckoning of Roku chapter analysis video. This one's going to be for chapter 46, which is called Her Final Act. Once again, YouTube channel membership is enabled on the channel if you want to help support, and subscribing is also very helpful. So we all know what this chapter is. The title sort of gives it away if you've been following the stories up to now. It's a Malia and San chapter. And so we know what the setup is here. Malia is going in with the intent of hoping to find a spot to kill San, and realistically, based on what Malia has said, she kind of knows San is probably going to try to do the same to her. So it's a extraordinarily tense situation. Interesting to a certain degree that the title does kind of give away what happens, though I guess it was sort of relatively obvious, just because we know San does survive into the future, and we don't really know much about Malia, of course, after this. But it is the tragic death of Malia here, and as well as that, it's of course probably the most evil thing in the whole book that San ends up doing here, highlighting that yes, this character, even though he's been portrayed as having quite a lot of nuance to him in this book, San is that character who is on track to be the evil character, the main villain of Avatar ultimately. And it's so interesting to see the book right towards the end here get to that point. But let's go through this chapter and cover, Malia's final acts here. So Malia is guiding San through the tunnels. She knows them exceptionally well, of course. She has an amazing sense of direction, unlike Roku, obviously. San wants her to be faster, but of course she points out, I'm going as fast as I can, and thinks to herself that this has been a crazy day. The amount of action that she's been involved in, breaking people free, fighting people, the amount of sort of traveling across the island, and now here's more traveling through the tunnels. Hopefully, killing the Prince of the Fire Nation will be the last act of the day. So at this point, they're getting really, really close to the sacred cave here at this point. And she's thinking to herself, how am I going to do this? Basically, that's the idea. She thinks that the only option that she really has here is to find a semi-collapsed section of the tunnel. She'll slip through the gap first. San will come after her, and she'll use the fact that it's going to be a little bit awkward coming out to get the advantage and kind of hit him in the head with a rock or something like that. And she'll accept all of the consequences for this. This is just something she feels that she has to do. She doesn't really have many options here. She doesn't have her weapons, of course, and the best she's probably going to find in the cave here is a rock, basically, because there's no fighting San hand to hand, one on one, and hoping to win here. As skilled as she is with no weapons, it's not going to go well. She does think to herself, though, that she's not going to lie to Gyatso if she ends up succeeding. She will likely lose that friendship forever, but this is something she feels that she has to do to protect the island, to protect her clan, and she just in general feels that she might be doing a favor to people in the future if she takes out someone like San, given the type of leader he was on track to become. She notes that, yeah, Gyatso is right about Roku. He has too much history with San to see it clearly, but she was certain the Avatar had reached a similar conclusion about Ulo. And Ulo and San are ultimately sort of similar in that way, and ultimately these are leaders that are not maybe going to be the most helpful overall. So Malia has accepted that the only option here is to try to take San's life, but that he's probably going to try and do the same. At some point, she just has to act first. So they get closer and closer. They're almost at the end. And then they come up against a blocked off section. And this is her opportunity. So San goes straight up front, blasts a hole in this, but obviously he only blasts a hole enough that they can crawl through. So Malias Plan is kind of about to happen here because, she's the guide, she's expected to go through first, and she'll get her opportunity on the other side. But what ends up happening is that as she goes to go through, San grabs her, pulls her back, and is like, me first. So he goes through. She can't really disagree with him because Otherwise, it's just going to cause a fight and she's not going to win the fight. So she just has to let him go through and hope that this works out. The one advantage this gives her, kind of happening relatively suddenly, is that she is able to look on the ground around her, because Sozin's already gone through, and she finds a sharp rock fragment that's kind of almost like a knife. And so she then prepares herself and follows Sozin through. But this is where it happens. Sozin basically executes Malia's plan in reverse. He's waiting for her on the other side. Spinning fire kick across the face. Malia stumbles backwards, stunned. But because she's been through a lot, she's able to shake it off temporarily, charge forward, and she does stab Sozin in the stomach with the knife, with the rock that she has here. And then he knocks her arm aside and cracks, basically headbutts her here. And so she is completely stunned at this point. She really can't do anything to block after this. Sozin punches her in the stomach, and she's so stunned. All it does is, getting to the end here, a moment later, she was consumed by fire. At least she thought, in that final moment before excruciating pain overcame her. She had tried. And so that is the very sudden tragic death of Malia here. Killed by Sozin here right before they get to Roku. And it's obviously crazy that it's come to this, that it didn't really have to, but it's just that idea of Sozin doesn't trust people. And especially, I guess, the natives on this island and stuff like that. That's why he's doing what he's doing here. Malia just gets the sense that this is the type of character that Sozin is, and it was just going to be always a case of only one of these is actually going to come out at this point, and it's Sozin who comes out of this. So really, really, big gut punch of a chapter here, losing Malia like this, and especially separated from everyone. Gyatso, they kind of made that promise of trust me, I'll come out of this, but she dies. And so you think about Gyatso in this as well, how he's going to feel about this, and just what way is it going to work out overall, in terms of Sozin now on his own. He's so close to Roku, but when he gets there, what's going to happen? What's he going to see when he finds Roku there? Can he actually do anything? Because it seems like Roku has dealt with the situation himself. So interesting stuff overall. But yes, rest in peace, Malia is the big thing here. I thought over the course of her run in the book, a really good way to present the clan by having the villain kind of represent the worst kind of traits of it, but then Malia representing a lot of the really strong traits of the clan. And so you getting a relatively nuanced portrayal of what's going on the island because of these two focus characters. It was always a bit of an interesting one to immediately have a character who's your main islander character be sort of skeptical of what's going on the island. But I thought it made for a really interesting arc of her realizing that she needs to separate herself from what's going on the island because it's way too controlled by Ulo, and that her destiny, the place where she belongs, is away from the island. And the fact that the character has been killed off right before she sort of really finds herself. You could see the potential for her if she got off the island, went to the air nomads, and I think what she could have become as a Team Avatar member going forward. That's what's the real kind of tragedy of this, of just what could have been, and the idea that Sozin, of course, is going to hide this, that he's killed her like this completely, and he's going to get away with this. Roku's not going to know, other characters are not going to know. The only one who's going to know is Sozin himself, that he did this, and that's a real other tragic aspect to this as well. So in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on this really intense situation, the tense walk through the caves, both of them planning to kill each other, but Sozin coming out on top. Thoughts on Malia overall on the book, given that this is her last chapter, basically. let me know what you think. But that has been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.